our next third speaker, Professor Jeremy Bradshaw. Professor Bradshaw is Pro-Vice-Chancellor, International and Doctoral, University of Bath in the UK. In his role, Professor Bradshaw has fostered the growth and the development of the University of Bath's Doctoral College. Thus, Professor Bradshaw has large experience supporting the growth of young researchers. We are very thankful for having the opportunity to hear his talk, titled Early Career Researcher Development in Europe. Professor Bradshaw, please.
So, can you all hear me and see the slides?
That is correct.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your introduction, Professor Tendero, and thank you also to you and your colleagues for this invitation to join the HIRAKU Global Programme and to speak at this morning's symposium. First, a little bit of personal background. As Professor Tendero has already explained, I'm currently Pro-Vice-Chancellor at the University of Bath. Before that, I was at the University of Edinburgh for rather a long time. I joined the University of Edinburgh as a postdoc in 1985, and I left the university for Bath in 2018, leaving a role as assistant principal with responsibility for research and development. Along the way, I've been a member of the executive and an officer for the UK Council for Graduate Education. I've represented the university at several alliances of universities, including the Coimbra Group, Universitas 21, where I had the pleasure of meeting Professor McEwen, and LIRU, the League of European Research Universities. I currently chair the UK National 3-minute thesis final. Now, today, I would like to talk about two things. First of all, habilitation. Secondly, I'd like to say a bit about the research and development framework. And then I'm actually going to say a few words about some schemes run by European universities for tenure track faculty. First of all, habilitation. One of my responsibilities at the University of Edinburgh was oversight of the university's very close links with the medical schools of Poland. This meant that I often visited Polish universities and attended or even spoke at the ceremonies marking the start of their academic year. Each ceremony would include the recognition of those faculty members who had passed the habilitation examination during the previous 12 months. They say there's nothing new under the sun. 300 or so years ago, German universities were becoming increasingly concerned that there was a big gap between attaining a doctorate and being a successful professor. So they adopted and adapted a degree invented 100 years before that to create a superdoctorate. This was the habilitation, and it's still in use in many European countries and is seen as the gateway to a tenured faculty post, although I should say it's not currently used in the UK. The habilitation involves a second thesis, but one conducted without a supervisor, and it provides structure to the early career as well as an objective assessment at the end. In the UK, as in several other countries these days, it is now a minority of PhD graduates that stay in academia. This slide gives the numbers for different disciplines, and you'll see that it's only the social scientists, doctorate holders, where the majority remain in higher education. And even in that case, most of them are teaching rather than conducting research. These numbers come from Vitae. The phenomenon is recognised by many organisations, including the UK Council for Graduate Education, that made the so-called Oxford Statement in 2017. This statement not only admitted that many PhD graduates go on to careers outside higher education, but also acknowledged that the PhD is an excellent training for a wide range of careers. Now, as many of you already know, VITAI, the organisation that produced the data shown on the previous slide, have also produced the Researcher Development Framework, which is well known around the world and is widely used in the UK. The Researcher Development Framework, as it's called, describes the characteristics of anyone conducting research in a higher education institution, and it charts a path of development in these characteristics. It's designed to be aspirational yet realistic, identifying the attributes of good researchers at different stages of their development. And it recognizes that research careers inevitably require development of a portfolio of responsibilities in which research may or may not be the main activity. It was also deliberately designed to avoid any link to performance appraisal, national or local role profiles, job evaluation exercises, or academic promotion procedures. Here we see the 4 domains that make up the Researcher Development Framework. We have knowledge and intellectual abilities, personal effectiveness, research governance and organisation, and engagement, influence and impact. And in each case, you will see that each domain has subdomains. Together with that little graphic, there is also an explanation of how each of these subdomains develops, progresses through skills development through a number of phases. Please note that whilst there is clear progression from left to right, the phases are not explicitly linked to any particular stages of a career. This recognizes that we all develop skills and experience in each subdomain at a different rate. Any one person may be more advanced in some subdomains than others, and this may change throughout their career. Now, this is a snapshot of one of the web pages from our university website at the University of Bath. And it describes training and development opportunities for faculty members. And I'd encourage you to go and have a look at it if you'd like to drill down into the sort of programs and training opportunities that are available. The point I was going to make is that each of these opportunities is explicitly linked to the Researcher Development Framework. The same would be true for the majority, if not all, of UK universities. And I note from the previous presentation that this is also true for the University of Queensland. Now, the final point I would like to make is that my former university, the University of Edinburgh, created some special fellowships for talented early career researchers. These were called the Chancellor's Fellowships. And these tenure-track positions have been running for around 5 years now, and I see there is a call out at this moment, so I'm pleased to see that they're still running. Every year, a new cohort of fellows starts. They receive financial support. In addition to their salary, they receive generous startup costs for their laboratories. They receive training, and they receive mentoring to develop their research, and they even receive funding for some PhD students. The expectation is that within 5 years, they will have established themselves with a portfolio of research grants and publications, and will then become permanent tenured academic staff. Now, the University of Edinburgh is not unique in this. A quick trawl through the web shows that several other European universities have similar schemes. Here are a couple. University of Freiburg, for instance, has a very similar scheme, as does the University of Copenhagen. And I noticed that one of the main government funders in the Netherlands also operates a scheme very similar to this. So those are just a few thoughts. I look forward to discussing some of these ideas with you over the rest of today's meeting and tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Bradshaw.